Hello everyone, Chris Erkle here for the Press Enterprise. I'm joined by Press Enterprise's Brian Rokos. We're here in front of the Hall of Justice in Riverside. This morning, the prosecution gave the closing arguments in the Earl Ellis Green case. Earl Ellis Green is accused of killing Riverside police officer Ryan Bonaminio in 2010. Brian, you were in the courtroom. Give us a little recap of what happened this morning.
Well, the morning started with Judge Leonard giving jury instructions, focusing on how to weigh evidence, how to weigh the truthfulness of witnesses, and points of law, including the difference between first and second degree murder. And that's important because the prosecution is seeking first degree murder and the death penalty, whereas the defense is seeking second degree murder, and that would come with life without the possibility of parole. And to get the first degree murder conviction, the prosecution needs to show that Green willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation killed Officer Bonaminio, or that he was lying in wait. And Deputy District Attorney Michael Hestrin, in his closing arguments this morning, seized on that. The first point he made was to show a video of Defendant Green getting out of the truck that he had stole and grabbing for a pipe in the back of his waistband. And Hestrin said that at that moment, Green had made the decision that he was going to run, but also, if he had to, he was going to fight and he was going to try to hurt someone. And Michael Hestrin made some other points about showing that Green intended to kill that day. He said that Green hit Bonaminio with a pipe, and that then he shot at Bonaminio twice with Bonaminio's gun. And then there was a pause. And at that moment, Hestrin said, Green could have decided to run, but instead he went up to Bonaminio, circled behind him, pointed the gun toward the back of the officer's head, and fired. And that, Hestrin said, is deliberate, willful, and premeditated. And coming up this afternoon, starting at 1:30, the defense will give its closing argument.
And what are you expecting from the defense?
Well, they're going to focus on Earl Green's state of mind at the time. Mr. Green was upset with his family. He was being kicked off, I believe, an uncle's property. He had been in tears the day before, and the defense is going to focus on perhaps that Green wasn't thinking clearly, and that was a mitigating factor in his attack on the police officer.
Now, after the defense gives their closing statements, jury will probably go into deliberation. A slight chance we could have a verdict today, but the thinking is more likely tomorrow.
That's correct, and the courts will give people about 45 minutes notice so that they can assemble for the verdict. The Press Enterprise will be in the courtroom for the verdict whenever it comes, and we'll have something on PE.com immediately after the verdict is announced.
All right, Brian, thanks for joining us right here at the Hall of Justice in Riverside. I'm Chris Erkle along with Brian Rokos. Stay tuned right here to PE.com for much more on the Earl Ellis Green trial.